Welcome to another edition of the Science Talks at UNU-EHS. My name is Austin. I'm with the communications team here. I'm joined by Shen Xiaomeng, the director of UNU-EHS, and Alejandro Kilpatrick, the manager of capacity building at the UNFCCC. Here today, we're here to talk about capacity building in the context of climate change and some of the activities that will be happening at COP29. So my first question is to Alejandro. Could you please tell us about capacity building in relation to climate change and perhaps some of the things that you guys do at UNFCCC with regard to capacity building?
So capacity building is one of the fundamental means of implementation in the context of UNFCCC. We have climate finance, technology development transfer, and capacity building. That is what it's called, the suite of means of implementation, meaning that developing countries have a series of needs that they need to be addressed for them to be able to implement their commitments. And capacity building is one of the important elements. Even the Article 11 of Paris Agreement highlights the importance of capacity building and the need for collective action, to partnerships and collective action to support particularly developing countries in addressing their capacity gaps and needs. This article promotes a lot of cooperation, including different modalities like South-to-South cooperation, and it's one of the milestones of the Paris Agreement. Capacity building is such a cross-cutting issue because it's always related to a particular set of skills and knowledge required to either implement national adaptation plans, NDCs, LT-LEDs. So capacity building is always for a purpose. So that makes it cross-cutting, and it's reflected in a lot of the discussions at the UNFCCC. Most of the negotiation items have a capacity building element to it, meaning that often parties are requesting dedicated support to build capacities for different purposes. And then that makes it such an important element that it's also reflective in how support is provided. But what parties are calling for in the UNFCCC is more about the retention of capacities. There's a lot of support in terms of building capacities to workshops, trainings, but there is a need from developing countries to retain those capacities at the institutional level. Because in the UNFCCC, even though there's not a definition of capacity building, often we speak about three levels of capacity. So the systemic capacities, the institutional capacities, and the individual capacities. So a lot of the support provided is geared towards training, building the individual capacities. But as I mentioned, countries want to move to the next level, more and more institutional capacity, so that they have these abilities and skills that can be retained and transferred over time. We also have a capacity building architecture. So we have a constituted body, what it's called the Paris Committee on Capacity Building, which has a clear mandate to identify ways and means to address capacity gaps and needs, also supporting engagement of stakeholders and coherence and coordination. So we provide support to this Paris Committee on Capacity Building to deliver its mandates. And then the committee provides recommendations to parties on how to better address capacity gaps and needs. And particularly one of the main products of the PCCB, we call it PCCB, the Paris Committee on Capacity Building, is the Capacity Building Hub. And I think we'll be talking a bit more about this hub in the next questions.
So I see a lot of it's addressing gaps and needs. I think that's something that directly relates to the research going on at UNU. So my next question is for Xiaomeng. Could you tell us a bit about UNU and UNU's mission as it relates to climate change and capacity building?
UNU is an institution which does research and also does postgraduate education. In addition to that, we do quite a bit of non-degree trainings, because UNU was established in 1973 by the General Assembly, supposed to be an academic arm of the UN system. It should serve the UN system and also its member states, its peoples. So the overarching themes of UNU are human survival, human development, and human welfare. With climate change becoming an existential threat, so our work is very much focusing on how to tackle that challenge as part of the human survival and human welfare and human development. In that sense, it's really within our mandate to conduct capacity building with the knowledge we have created as a think tank of the UN and its member states. So that's the overall UNU setup. And the mission actually dictates that we serve the member states. That's why I'm really excited to collaborating with UNFCCC and to implement your mandate, but also our own mandate.
Cool, nice. I think that excitement leads to my next question, or my next questions regarding the capacity building activities taking place at COP. So the last several years you have been running the capacity building hub. Could you perhaps tell us a bit about what you guys do with this, and then perhaps some achievements that you've had over the years with it?
No, thank you very much, there. And it's also a pleasure to collaborate with UNU and in the context, for example, the Capacity Building Hub. We've been doing it for some years now, but basically the Capacity Building Hub is, again, a product of this committee, the Paris Committee on Capacity Building. And the main purpose is to help, on the one hand, understand better what are the capacity gaps and needs developing countries face, but not only government officials, but all stakeholders, because the Capacity Building Hub is, the target audience is pretty much every actor that's interested in moving forward in climate action through capacity building. So the Capacity Building Hub is an open space. It's been running we're doing the 6th edition this year. And basically it's a series of events over a six-day period. And we have thematic days. So it's always capacity building for something. So, and each thematic day has a focus. For example, could be adaptation, could be private sector, could be loss and damage, just transition, some of the topics we had in the past. So every day during the 6 days, there are various events or capacity building activities. It's not side events. It's really, we want to make sure there are activities that help build capacities or transmit knowledge so that stakeholders can take it back home and help their climate action. And this has been an evolution throughout the years, because now, and we have a new exciting feature this year, which is the Capacity Building Hub Academy in collaboration with UNU, which we'll speak a bit about that. So the hub has been very successful in bringing stakeholders together in a common space to understand what others are doing about addressing capacity gaps and needs in the different areas. We have an open call for submissions, and we have a selection process, because we really want, like I mentioned, events, activities in the Capacity Building Hub that are not side events. It's not about showcasing what others are doing. It's rather than providing lessons learned, information, knowledge that helps build capacities. So in that sense, we have been, I would say, quite successful. Last year, we had 40 events, 40 activities in the Capacity Building Hub, including a photo exhibition in collaboration with UNU. That's one that's always been a very nice feature of the hub. So we had 6,000 people participated in total throughout the 6 days. And more importantly, we are being able to gather those experiences and also disseminating them through the capacity building portal. So that's been very helpful in understanding what actors are doing, which actors are doing what type of activities and for whom. And particularly in that sense, giving an opportunity for all types of capacity building activities to showcase. And that's one of the key aspects of the hub. We're looking for innovative ways of delivering capacity. And we have had performances, storytelling, different modalities, roundtables, typical roundtables. And that's quite interesting in seeing how capacity building can take different shapes and forms. So this year we're expecting a similar setup, but each year we try to innovate, and like I mentioned this year, a new feature trying to even be more focused on capacity building is this academy in collaboration with UNU. So very excited about this.
Yeah, so Xiaomeng, if you want to elaborate on sort of the activities as regard to the Capacity Building Academy, that would be great.
Yeah, it's really a long-lasting partnership. We have been contributing to the Capacity Building Hub since last 3 years with storytelling and art. You mentioned the photo exhibition. I think in terms of this year, I believe it's a pioneering phase because it's the first time that we do it. And we are very excited about it. And we instructed all the colleagues who want to contribute to be creative and innovative. So we want to bring the knowledge we created to the member states delegates, but also youth and other UN observers. And we want to give them something hands-on and just to spend 20 or 40 minutes in this hub, and then they can take something away with them and take actions based on that. So that's the design of the capacity building for this year. And we do want to develop some sort of creative methodology of it to develop a format, also using a little bit modern technology like Mentimeter, things like this, and games. But this will be tested this year and see how it goes. And then next year we can build on that and advise the methodology. And content-wise, I think the topics are quite broad. We cover engagement with private sector, how to develop climate risk insurance. We have a team working on that. And also, for instance, human mobility in the context of climate change. And we are doing some quite cutting-edge research on it. For instance, we look at plant relocation as an adaptation measure, because throughout human history, we have been migrating all the time. But all of a sudden, we put national borders, and then we make migration a security issue. But it shouldn't be that way. It should be human-centered. And then we want to look at those kind of things. And we have a team which came up also with a topic for green economy and how to engage women and youth. So I think these are very exciting topics, and we are hoping that we can give the delegates and observers and NGOs, or whoever wants to come to this space, to take something very useful for them. Especially this year is a very special year. You just came back from Colombia, the CBD convention. There is UNCCD convention, COP in December. And of course, the COP29 is a big year. And we also want to look at the interconnectedness of these three conventions, how we could create cascading positive effects, not work in silos and rather together. I think that's something we haven't looked so strongly. We want to break it down for the member states to do that, and also for whoever wants to participate in the capacity building academy. And for doing that, we are working with other UNU institutes. We have altogether 13 institutes worldwide, based in 12 countries. We are establishing a new institute on AI. And so we are going to have 14 institutes for next year. And the new one can also contribute to our academy. And we will be looking at, for instance, new technologies, how to use them. We recently had a conference on AI and climate change with UNFCCC Tech Committee. So that was a very good conference, convened quite a lot of different peoples and from different UN agencies as well. And one of the sessions we have designed is really about how to use new technologies for climate change. In terms of the future, I would think, because you mentioned you reached 6,000 people within 6 days, I think that's really a very nice space for people to come and join in, and then serve as a very creative and innovative space. People come and go, but it's very lively. And there is a certain informality to it. I think that's where people can actually relax and learn something. If you're very stressed, you cannot learn very well. So for the future, I can imagine that we develop creative methodology throughout the years and then make it almost like a maker space. You know, in tech sector, they have this maker space where people get really creative and innovative and feel very free to think and to do things and to learn things. I think it needs to be playful and fun as well. So that's the future I would envision for this academy.
It sounds amazing. And Alejandro, I'll let you elaborate on your hopes and maybe expectations for the future with it as well.
No, thank you, and thank you for as you were mentioning. I think the idea is that the capacity building hub is a space where, even though if it's within a COP, it's a space for, as you say, for exchange, for lively exchange, for looking at innovative ways of doing things. And I think working with the academy it's very exciting. And this is hopefully a methodology that will continue developing in next hubs and improving it, because every year we're doing and learning new things. And as you say, the emerging issues or the important issues that we also see in the process, you mentioned synergies. We have a synergies day in the capacity building hub, for example, because of the importance of connecting not only the Rio conventions, but other aspects of sustainable development. We also have an innovation day where the issues of as you said, artificial intelligence and other innovative ways of delivering capacity building are going to be discussed, and how to use the emerging tools like AI for supporting climate action, and how to help people understand how these tools can be of value to them. So, and we also want this capacity building hub to be a space for networking. And I think that's what we see at the end of the days. For example, people talking amongst themselves, excited, how are you doing this? How can this be of use to me? And we've seen it also in the aftermath of the hub, that people are engaging with others and they're connecting, and that helps, of course, create greater impact. So, and we are also thinking that the hub is, the PCCB is also looking at this capacity building hub as a cross-cutting element of its work, because it doesn't end at the hub. So, because then whatever happens, do we have a report? That's typical, a report of the capacity building hub. But we also have a PCCB network, and those institutions that are participating in the hub can also become part of the PCCB network and then continue collaborating throughout the year. So the intention is that the hub is not only one COP event, but rather a space that can lead to greater engagement, and also to create a repository of best practices, because there are a lot of best practices and lessons learned that come out of the hub. And I think working with institutions like UNU is fundamental, because we hear it also from parties, how institutions from the academic world, research world, are critical for retaining these capacities, because a lot of these institutions, for example, at country level, have more permanence in universities, and I know you work a lot with networks of universities, so I think it's fundamental to also continue engaging with you through your network in this aspect. So bringing the targeted research and the involvement of research organizations and academia even more in the context of capacity building and the capacity building hub. So looking forward to this edition of the hub and to continuing the collaboration with UNU. And I think it's going to be an exciting COP and capacity building hub. Particularly we have very good location, I have to say. I'm looking at the venue. It's very visible, and we encourage everyone to come and join us in the 6th capacity building hub.
Wow, that sounds great. It sounds like a space that is a good time, and there's plenty of opportunities to learn. I think there was a message in there about creating greater impact, and I think that's really important with capacity building. So with that, we'll leave it there. I thank you both for your time. and we look forward to bringing you more science talks in the future. Thank you.